BF21 is sponsored by the Climate Council of Greater Kansas City and KKFI 90.1 FM, Kansas City Community Radio. This is How to Go Solar the Right Way. Please welcome your hosts, Ken Riead and Craig Wolfe.
All right. I'm Craig Wolfe, and to my right is Ken Riead. I'm the past chair of HRES, Heartland Renewable Energy Society, and Ken is the current chair. So I'm going to share my screen now as we get into our presentation. So as Bob said, our topic is adding solar energy the right way. And there's the easy way of doing it where you don't get your house ready, and then there's the way that requires a little bit of effort. So we are a 501c3 organization. We are a member of ACES, which stands for the American Solar Energy Society, representing Kansas and Missouri. And
I'm not seeing your PowerPoint. I don't know if it's just me or...
Bob, are you seeing the PowerPoint?
I do not. Please try sharing that again.
Okay.
Sorry to stop you, but I think if you're going to talk about it, I can show it.
Share screen.
Huh.
And here we go.
There we go.
All right.
There you are.
All right. So we are a 501c3. We are a member of ACES, the American Solar Energy Society, representing Kansas and Missouri, and we are also a volunteer organization. The purpose of the Heartland Renewable Energy Society is to further the development of renewable energy and energy efficiency technologies, and to promote businesses on the cutting edge of renewable energy, and to educate the public, businesses, and our policymakers on the need for us to create a clean, safe, and renewable energy future. We do this through our frequent workshops, through our website, our annual tours, and special events. So we invite you to go to our website and join the Heartland Renewable Energy Society. There will be a link there to download the membership application you see. So fill that out and send it in to us, and you will help us keep doing what we're doing. So why would you want to join HRES? Well, we are right now at an infancy of our solar revolution. With a new administration, we just don't know what to expect, but we do know the opportunities could be enormous. And to help people understand what's going on, HRES will be tracking these changes with our workshops and with our website that will distill down federal, Kansas, Missouri information in understandable terms. So stay tuned and join HRES. The format for today's presentation is I will be making a presentation on the background information on solar and energy efficiency. Then we will go into questions and answers. Ken Riead will present then on more technical aspects of solar PV, which stands for photovoltaics, and then we will do final questions. As for how you can ask your questions as we go through the presentation, should you have questions, put these in the chat found at the bottom of your screen. And you can do a test right now. What I want you to do is to mouse over the bottom of the screen, and a bunch of icons will show up. Click the chat icon, another dialog box will show up for you to enter your question, and then at the appropriate time we will go through and answer those questions. The first thing we need to know is where the sun is. So the sun actually rises north of due east, goes high in the summer sky at noon, and then sets in the summer north of due west. In the wintertime, it changes its pattern and rises south of due east, goes low in the sky in the winter at noon, and then sets south of due west. So the summer sun over in this part of the day will just bake the west side of your house. And in the morning, it also, if you've got windows over here, that will also increase your energy load to try and keep your house cool. So what you want to do is to plant trees over here on the west side of your house, and then of course the east side is important. The west side is more important because this is the heat of the day and you're really baking yourself now. In terms of the south windows in the wintertime, they can help you or they can hurt you. And the primary tool you've got is your overhang system. So you can see that we have a shorter window of time that the sun is rising in the wintertime. And here's what an overhang system looks like. We've got a 2-foot overhang this way. We've got 6 feet from the overhang to the bottom of the window. And then we've got a 1-foot space between the window and the overhang. So you can see here that on these winter months, for the most part, the sun is going below and entering the house through the window. But in the summertime, for the most part, the overhang is also blocking the sun's energy. So the overhang works very well if it's designed properly. And now we're going to give you a quick primer on what is passive solar. And when I was building houses, I always described it as there are 3 components to a passive solar system. The first and most important is the shell of the house, which keeps the energy in the house from escaping. Then you've got the glazing on the south side of the house. And as you can see here, this is scattering around. That's because it's scattering because we've got a diffused glass here. And then the third element is the masonry floor in this case. And so this is what is called thermal mass. It absorbs the sun's energy and then releases that energy when the air temperature inside the house cools down. This overall configuration is called direct gain, meaning that all of the sun's energy goes into the spaces that are conditioned spaces of the house. Isolated gain is another type of passive solar system, and that is where the sun enters typically a greenhouse and hits a mass wall, and that mass wall will absorb the sun's energy. That energy will conduct through the wall and then into the living space. And the third type is indirect gain, where the glazing itself is put right up next to the glass with a small airspace in between. So here are some examples of what I've just gone through. This is a home that I built in the 80s. You can see the greenhouse over here with the tall glass. This is the direct gain part, and this is also part of the direct gain part, and this is diffused glass. And as we see here, that creates a soft light that scatters and goes around the entire inside of the house in this room. Then we have the masonry floor that absorbs the sun's energy. That's the thermal mass. We also have a mass wall in the greenhouse space that's stuccoed and painted a dark color so it absorbs the sun's energy. This house is all direct gain, and it also has some earth contact around here and then around on the back side of the house. Here you can see that the terracotta floor is what is absorbing the sun's energy and is the thermal mass. It also shows you some window quilts that we use in this house that are effective in the wintertime as well as in the summertime in keeping the inhabitants of the home comfortable. This is the house that I lived in for 40 years that I recently sold before I moved to Loveland, Colorado. And so this is a large sun space. This is what that looks like on the inside with a dark brick. And then on the inside, you've got a stone wall. So we're looking at the same window here in both of those shots. This house actually uses all three types of passive solar. We've got direct gain in this part of the house. We've got isolated gain with a sun space here. And then we've got indirect gain where these 5 pieces of glass are attached almost directly to the wall with a small airspace. Adding a photovoltaic system, if done right, it involves more than just buying panels, because there are many things that you can do to your home to ensure that your home will perform at its optimum. And we've created something called the Clipboard Home Energy Checklist that shows where you can start. But I do want to say that if you're going to go to the expense of putting on a photovoltaic system, you want to get a professional energy audit done by a professional auditor, because you do a blower door test. They will also inspect many other components of your house and help you reduce the amount of panels that you need, as well as make your home more comfortable. So that's an important step. So let's look at the Clipboard Home Energy Checklist. As we see here, I'll show you how this is organized, and this is organized on 4 pages. So this is page 1. You've got a check box so that when you're completed your inspection of these areas, you can check the box. These are the various areas of the house. There's 10 or 11 areas. Attic and crawl space is on this page. Wall insulation and basements and crawl spaces are on also on this page. And then within each area, there are various elements that you should take a look at to see what is expected here, what is needed here. And we've got something here on each one of these that kind of guides you through. And since you've got this on a clipboard, that's why we call it the Clipboard Home Energy Checklist. Over here is where you put your findings. So that's page 1. And then page 2 has air infiltration, HVAC and fireplaces, windows, water systems, lifestyle and miscellaneous, and landscaping, and checking things on the exterior. And then we show you how to make a air infiltration tool that is made from a pencil and cellophane. The way you use this is you hold it up to a window or a door or an electrical outlet, and that tells you by watching the cellophane move. If it's starting to move, you've got a draft going on. And then down here we've got helpful resources that enable you to learn more about climate change and energy efficiency. So on the first area, we had measure for attics and crawl spaces. We have measure attic insulation. Is it uniform? Are areas too much or too little? If you only have 6 to 8 inches, you need to add at least to get to 14 or 16 inches or more, and we recommend using cellulose foam. We give that same type of explanation for all these areas as you go through attic and crawl spaces. Another important area is air infiltration, doors, windows, electrical outlets, utility penetrations, window-mounted air conditioners, baseboards, fireplaces, attic fans, and hatches. And I'm going to quickly go to an example of some of this. This is what we used to use. We would put this hatch on a piano hinge, and then we would raise it up and use these butterfly bolts to hold it in place. And then in a down position, this shows the cork that we use, which is 2 inches styrofoam. It has a gasket on the back to make it airtight, and then it was held in place with 4 little pieces of wood around the perimeter. So there's several solutions for that. That is one great solution for attic fans. So now we've got 5 minutes for questions. And Ken, if you could take a look at what's going on in the chat, and we'll begin to answer some questions. And I will stop my share so that they can see us answer their questions.
Well, so far we have one basic answer that at the bottom, it doesn't say chat, it says Q&A. So,
Well, that's what we see, maybe not what our participants see.
no, that's what the participants see as well, apparently. So this just FYI, and you haven't gotten any questions yet.
Well,
So
yeah. Say what, Bob?
I don't believe Bob said anything.
I think your microphone may be muted, Bob.
It is, and I have nothing to say right now, so it's
Well, do you know, are the participants seeing a chat icon?
participants, you have a Q&A button at the bottom, and if you go in there and type in your questions, and those will appear on
Okay.
the and Ken
It
City.
actually only shows one and it says Q&A. All right, so that's Charla. Where can we get a copy of the clipboard audit? That'll be on our website. At the top, it showed Heartland Renewable / clipboard, and that is what that will send you to a page where you can download the clipboard home energy checklist, as well as show some videos where we made presentations that went into much more detail about each of the components. All right, here's one from Amy. Can you, you're bouncing around, can you give a quick mention of the other two gains besides passive gain? And that's from Amy. And I don't know, I'm not sure what other two types of gains you're referring to. Perhaps you're talking about photovoltaics. Do you know what she's talking about, Ken?
Not exactly, but I think maybe she's referring to passive solar, active solar, thermal, and our active solar electric, and then active solar thermal would be the three things that I talked about in terms of solar. You've got passive solar, which is all you've explained pretty well, and then active is typically most people equate that to solar panels or solar modules on the roof, but
Yeah.
they can be ground mounted and all these different things, which you showed that in the very first slide. And then you've got thermal systems which move water or air. And I think that's the question, but does that answer your question, Amy? Oh, looks like
We don't know.
there's more down there now.
Let's see. Here's one from Danielle. Is there anything apartment dwellers can do to improve the efficiency of their rented homes? Well, you can do the same thing that you can do with a home that you own, but you would need to have an arrangement with the landlord or homeowner, hopefully to reimburse you for some of the work you've done. That'd be my recommendation.
I have a quick answer for that.
All right.
If you get a siliconized caulk that's clear and caulk around the trim around the doors and windows and all, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you start doing things like changing the paint and all, you may need to talk to the landlord first before you make any visual significant changes. Another thing you can do is get there's little styrofoam, was not really styrofoam, but say a type of foam that's pre-cut to fit around your light switches and outlets. And so you basically remove the cover plate and put the light switch little gasket in, and then you put the light switch cover back on and screw it in. And believe it or not, those things right there will help cut down on your infiltration. And then if you have a sliding glass door, typically those are leaky, so maybe you could put some kind of a little, they make a little, like a roll, looks like a little rolled up carpet or whatever, the draft dodger type thing that you slide up to the bottom of your sliding glass door will help keep the cold air and or hot air out. Simple things like that will make somewhat of a difference, but as far as tackling insulating the walls, or if you're on a top level apartment, insulating your attic and all, that's something you'd have to take up with the landlord.
And then Al Frisbee wants to know if he can take a picture of the last page of the clipboard. Show again. We're not able to show that again based upon our time restraints, but this will be, the entire thing will be on our website for you to download, as well as this entire presentation. You can also download that once we get it all recorded. And David asks, what are the current insulation levels for the KC metro area for the house envelope? Well, it really depends upon what you're trying to do.
I believe
You know,
code and Charlotte probably knows the answer better than I, but I think R38 is still the attic insulation amount, at least that. Walls, R13 is probably your minimum now for most places.
And of course, when we were building R26 walls, etc. And Charlotte says active thermal and PV are probably the other two components. Amy says thanks. Victor's writes on your comment on properly sizing a PV system. Are you saying that oversizing the system is just a first cost issue? Can someone put in more panels and just simply generate more power and send it back to the grid? Yeah, you can certainly do that.
That's not cost effective, though. I'll go into that in my presentation. Actually, that's towards
All right. So Victor, hang around and we will touch on that later. So I think that is all of our questions that we've got. Again, I want to remind you that this presentation and a whole bunch of other stuff is going to be available on the Heartland Renewable Energy Society website, www.heartlandrenewable.org. So, Bob, I think that's that's it for our presentation. Thank you very much for everybody coming, and we look forward to seeing you at our workshops and our other events.
Hey, I haven't gotten a chance to speak yet.
That's right.
So we're not done yet.
No, I'm sorry.
You old man. Turn it over to me, won't you?
Okay, Ken Riead, the current president of the Heartland Renewable Energy Society. And so you can share your screen. Will you be on?
I'm going to do that right now. All right, do you see it?
I see it.
All right, I brought up the website really quickly because we had a couple of things about this. This is the website, if you the way it's set up right now, and it is going to change over the course of time as we do more presentations, workshops, as more of these things we do with the Climate Council all come in. I won't go over the whole website because that really wasn't part of this presentation, but since the question came up, the way to find this, the clipboard audit is now on this right-hand side. You just click this image of it, and it'll bring it up. And so oops, that's the wrong thing. Sorry, it's in here. I guess I didn't put a link to it yet. Well, it'll be in here. It's probably going to be on the right-hand side, just like the rest of this stuff. I apologize. I was working on it today, and I put it out there, but I forgot to put a way to get to it. Sorry. It will be on the right-hand side it'll be on the website. I promise. So, going into my part of the presentation, this is the first slide that Craig brought up, so I just have it here to begin with. So we'll just kind of reiterate where he started. You want to do energy efficiency first. So one of the questions was about sizing solar. So we'll hit that here in just a minute. But Craig talked about a do-it-yourself version with the clipboard audit, where you go around and look for the problems as best you can visually, which is pretty much all that most people can do unless you have equipment. So I'm going to start talking about more professional things you can do. You can enlist the help of a residential energy professional, which is either a home energy auditor, or I tend to promote home energy raters. And it's not just because my wife has a providership in Kansas City. There's a reason that there's a difference between home energy raters and home energy auditors. Auditors are the term that most people hear, and that utility companies tend to promote. If you contact the utility, they'll probably talk about an energy auditor first. And what they're really doing is saying energy auditors will come out to do an analysis on your home, and then they will help you get whatever rebates the utility offers, which is good. But what they don't tell you is that if you actually ask for a home energy rater, they have the same exact abilities as an energy auditor, plus they can get private financing for you. And they can also have 3 levels of quality assurance involved that energy auditors do not. In other words, the information that they give you gets QA'd or quality assurance checked several times. And if there's problems with the information they give you, they get the people they report to will correct it, and they'll come back and say, I'm sorry, I gave you the information about this, and it's actually, you should do that. Now, normally those things are caught, but I'm just saying, if you have a rater, you have people double checking and triple checking to make sure the information they provide is correct. So briefly, if you get a professional energy audit, you do not want necessarily to get the free version offered by energy utilities or government programs, or to do an online energy audit, because they're relatively simplistic. They do not give you a whole lot of really good usable information. Some of the information is great, but mostly it's just, well, I would say common sense. So if you ask for a professional energy audit, you're going to pay a fee, and it varies on the complexity of the audit and which company does the audit, because there's no set price for energy audits or energy ratings, because it's an open market type thing. Whereas, just like if you were to ask for an appraisal on a home, different appraisers charge varying amounts to come out and look at your home to give you an appraisal. It's within a certain uh, range, but legally you cannot set prices in any industry that has private sector involved. Um, so if you want to get a listing of professional energy auditors, they're available from your local energy utility, or Metropolitan Energy Center is geared up to do that by calling 531-SAVE, or go to their website, which is metroenergy.org. And then if you want to get an energy rating based on what I am saying, from the fact they can offer you more per se, then you would also contact either your utility or Metropolitan Energy Center. And you will find out that if you contact a rater, they're the ones that can enable you to get your residential energy or renewable energy tax credits. And typically the energy auditor cannot. So you're going to have to, if you want to put in a solar system and get your tax credit, you're going to have to involve a rater. If you want to have your home certified as an Energy Star home, or if you want to have a certified green home, like through the U.S. Green Building Council's Lead for Homes program, you again have to involve a rater. And then there's one other thing a rater has that no one else has, which is the ability to facilitate energy mortgages. And I won't have time to explain them, except to say that energy mortgages take into account the energy savings, and they allow your home to have a little bit more, depending on the amount of energy savings to be had inside your home, which most homes need improvement. And it doesn't even matter if it's new or older, most homes can use some improvement. If you improve your home, then the way energy mortgages typically work, each secondary market has a little bit different program, like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and VA and FHA, but it'll typically increase the value of your home, and it will lower your energy bills, and it's built into it. Okay, so blower door tests. Testing your home by typically drawing air out of it, causing a negative pressure, is how you find the air leaks in a home. And if nothing else, if you're going to have your home have an energy audit or rating, you definitely want to have a blower door test. It's almost mandatory, because that's how you find the air leaks. And one of the major things that people do not tend to think about or fix is what's called air leaks in the attics, or attic air bypasses. And those, when you put a little insulation in the attic, it tends to hide the holes in your attic, where if you have a pipe that goes from the basement to the attic and it has some insulation around it, you may not notice it's there. But if you move the insulation back and take a look, a lot of times you can get in your attic and look straight down and see the basement. And if you can do that, then you've got a major air leak. That's the air's going right out your house all the time, 24/7. If you have builder grade can lights in your top floor or your attic, your ceiling of your top floor, same thing. And there's a number of things that make your house very leaky. So you tend to want to fix all those, and the blower door will help you find them. Another place where there's a lot of air leaks is the rim joist, which is where your wood of your home meets the concrete or stone foundation. Typically, it's a rough area that's hard to seal, so air comes through there. And then most doors and windows are not sealed very well around them. And if you're in a home, you don't want to go to the trouble of opening up the trim and take a look at your rough opening of your window, but you can put some caulk around it. And the easiest thing to do is put clear silicone or siliconized rubber caulk, so you don't really see it. It's more or less invisible, like transparent tape, but it does seal. Okay, so the questions you want to think about if you're going to go with solar is, what do you want to get from your audit or ratings, so that you can think about what you're trying to do as your pathway to get to the most efficient home. What's your goal? Do you want to increase the, and this is just your primary goal, but all these may make sense to you. Do you want to increase the comfort of your home or apartment or condominium or your residence in particular? Is your goal to decrease your monthly energy bills? Are you trying to make your home healthier in terms of better air quality, or you want to make sure that the toxins are reduced by non-toxic materials in there, or a better filtration. A lot of times, if you have a lot of dust in your home, you have a lot of air leakage happening. So if you find the leaks, the two main things that happen is you reduce the drafts or eliminate them, and your home no longer has that much dust. If you're trying to figure out if you need a new furnace, heat pump, or air conditioner, that's one of the things that the energy auditor, energy rater will be looking for is what's the condition of your equipment. And then the question we had earlier is, do you want to maximize the efficiency before adding a renewable energy system? And yes, because you don't want to size your solar system to your leaky, oversized furnace, air conditioner setup. What you want to do is size your solar system. If you're going to maximize your home, you do that first, and then you size your solar system to the newly improved version of your home. And odds are it'll save you money, both in terms of you may spend a little bit more than you thought you need to on your house to get it ready. But if you reduce the size of your solar system, you more than make up for it in terms of savings. Your largest electrical loads, you want to tackle them first, which is typically your air conditioner. You want to replace it with a high efficiency heat pump if you can. So you want to make sure that if you're going to do things, your steps, your order is insulate and seal your home to get it maximum efficient wise. Then you size your equipment to your newly efficient home. So you may have a 3-ton air conditioner or heat pump now. You may only need a 2.5-ton by the time you're done making your home more efficient and insulating it better. Replace old refrigerators and freezers with new high efficiency models. You can even get super efficient models that use a fraction of the energy. We'll touch on that in a minute. Try to replace your gas or electric clothes dryers with a heat pump version if you can. Replace your standard water heater or your electric water heater with a heat pump model. And always try to find, if you're going to replace things like microwaves and all, stoves, ovens, dryers, or whatever, try to find Energy Star versions. Other things that use energy, of course, is your computers, your copiers, your office equipment, things, your entertainment, TVs, and all. So try to find the Energy Star label, and when you do, there's ways to go to Energy Star website and see if you can if you can find the very lowest energy consuming or lowest wattage unit available. And every remote controlled appliance in your home actually never turns off. People can turn them off, and your picture will go out on your TV set, but there's actually standby energy being used all the time, so that when you click on the remote to turn it on, it sees that signal and turns on. The only way it could do that is actually be awake, technically 24/7. So if you have some items that have remotes that you flip off at night, you can put them on a power strip and turn off the power strip, and it'll turn them off completely. And then you just kick the power strip back on when you're ready to start watching TV or listen to your stereo or whatever. And that isolates them. I mean, it brings them back to life as far as remotes go. So again, the Energy Star website will have that info. Make sure I'm moving along here. On that website, HRS website, we'll have listings of wattages for general appliances and all. So this one has a listing here. Let me move my thing real quick here so I can read this. It shows the top, very top left-hand side, the air conditioner, a 1-ton unit uses 1,500 watts. Most homes have about a 3-ton air conditioner, give or take, for a typical sized home. So if you have 3-ton air conditioner, if you look at this chart, if it's 1,500 watts per ton, and you have 3 tons, then you're going to use a total of 4,500 watts, which is actually about right. So you can see that just that alone is going to be a pretty good energy user item. Your solar system, if it's going to power it, you're going to have to at least be able to put out 4,500 or 5,000 watts to equal your demand, or what your air conditioner needs to run. And most everything else that has an element in it, like your electric oven, your water heater that's electric, and your clothes dryer that's electric, have approximately a 5 kW heating element in them. So it doesn't say that right here. We'll have that info on the website too, but you have to size your solar system to provide, doesn't have to provide enough energy to have everything on at once, but you kind of have to figure out what things might be on at the same time and size your system accordingly. But right now, there's still a residential energy efficiency tax credit. Most people don't realize that's still around. You get a total of $500 over the last few years from 2005 to 2021, which is where we're at now. Once you hit that $500 amount, which is 10% of the cost of the energy efficiency improvements. So basically, once you spend $5,000, you could get $500 back, but you can only do that one time, except, of course, when purchases were made in 2009 or 2010, you could aggregate the amount of the credit for other technologies placed in service only through those 2 years and get as much as $1,500 back. Information about this is on the EnergyStar.gov website, and just go to About Federal Tax Credits and it'll have this information. It'll also show this. This is all taken from the website. I just did some screen grabs. This is what qualifies for your efficiency tax credits: air source heat pumps, central AC. Now, these are all efficient versions. Gas or propane or oil boilers or heating systems, gas, propane, or oil furnaces and fans, which are hot air blowing systems, water heaters, non-solar versions, circulating fans, and biomass stoves. So then a little bit more that does qualify, except that you cannot get the tax credit for the labor, but you can get tax credits for adding insulation, for installing an Energy Star roof, or Energy Star versions of windows, doors, and skylights. So what you're getting the tax credit for is the cost of materials, not labor. And I apologize for moving right along, but we have only so much time to talk about this stuff. And don't forget that your local utility has rebates for most energy efficient equipment for most everybody in the Kansas City or this region. Evergy, which covers a bigger amount of Kansas and Missouri, has rebates of up to $500 for replacing your central air conditioner, $700 for replacing a air source heat pump, and up to $1,500 to replace to put in a ground source heat pump. And then City of Missouri, Independence, Missouri, just as another quick example, has similar rebate program where you can get up to $519 for a 14.5 SEER heat pump, and you can get up to $601 for a 15 SEER version. So there's rebates to be available, so don't forget about those. Check with your utility. A quick overview of how electricity is done for most of us right now. If you don't have a solar system or wind energy system or another source of electrical power and you're relying on the grid, right now most of it still comes from coal in our area, although a good chunk of it's starting to come from wind. I shouldn't say most of it comes from coal. It just depends, because there is more and more wind energy being added to the lines around Kansas City that comes from Kansas area. So, but in general, especially historically, the power plant, the central power plant, was coal fired. The power would come from it. It'd go through a transformer and step the voltage up to a high voltage so that it could go for a long distance over the transmission lines, which are those real tall poles with the bigger wires. Then eventually it would get to a substation that would be in your neighborhood or in the area. Substation would the transformers in the substation would step the voltage down to a distribution level. And so it may be really high voltage here. So it's a lower voltage here, around 13,000 volts, give or take. And the distribution line takes it to the various neighborhoods. And then when it gets to your house, it goes through yet one more transformer, and that steps the voltage down to what we're typically used to using, which is 110 volts for your lights and your outlets, and your typical radios, TVs all use 110, 120 volt. And then 240 volts is also available for things like your electric water heater, your electric stove, your electric clothes dryer, things that require larger amounts of energy. So questions to ask a solar installer before putting in a solar system: how long have they been in business? Craig, where am I at on time? I don't have a clock in front of me. How am I doing?
Well, I'm not sure where Bob wants to stop us, but it's 4:39 right now, so we're pretty close.
I got one more minute, then I'll whip through this really fast. I may not make it. So ask your solar installers how long they've been in business, how many systems they've installed. Make sure they give you references, and make sure to follow up with them, because a lot of times they give you references, but if you call the reference, you'll find that they're not that happy. Other questions to ask is, what's the warranty on the modules themselves, which is the panels, on the inverters that convert the sunlight into electricity, and on the rest of the system, which is the balance of system. Ask about extended warranties, and be sure to ask what's not covered in the warranty. And then this is important, and I may have to stop here. The questions to ask before your solar purchase is, what's the experience of the installers? Make sure you don't get the newbie crew. Make sure that the solar installation company is insured and bonded. And then when you do buy a solar system, if you're not leasing one, you're buying it yourself, only pay a third upon signing any kind of contract, pay another third when the installation begins, and then wait and not pay that last third until everything is approved by the local utility and the building code inspector.